Hi, everyone. I'm excited to have my friend Dawn Mullarney joining us today. Dawn is an amazing connector. And for my audience, we're going to talk mostly about networking. Dawn, why don't you start? Just tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we're going to talk about how you network.
Yeah, I would say so. I am how do I say it, recovering corporate person that leaped into entrepreneur world. I realized through that corporate journey just a lot of great strengths and skills that I had that I kind of overlooked even as a child. Um, and so I took the leap to really make a bigger impact and to focus even on myself and to show up as the best self that I am.
I love it. And this is actually going to be fun because a lot of people think you're either corporate or you're an entrepreneur. And it's fascinating to me because people who've only been one, they see networking as a tool for what they are.
Mm,
I think it's been fun to watch as you're transitioning. The thing that you're holding on to that I see is your network, and it's the first thing you're building. So you have a foot in both camps. I met you while you were building that network and you were debating what does this change look like. So let's go back to Dawn's childhood. At
mhm.
what moment did you realize how good you were at connecting people?
Actually wasn't until I was older. I was a very shy child growing up, but that was because my sister loved to talk. So my sister would talk for me. She was just bubbly, nonstop talker. And so I kind of giggle where I was always kind of the hidden one. I had a lot of anxiety. When we moved, I got ulcers. So I was hiding in the principal's office in order to pass school. Then I think what really was kind of that pivotal moment of connecting with people was once I left our home and moved into a college dorm and to realize I had my own voice, my own space. I showed up as me, nobody knew me. And that's where I think it kind of was that start of, holy cow, I can show up as this person that I never knew I had in me. And it just really kept growing through the different career paths that I had. And I think I really honed into it when I finally got into an element where I had a great mentor and boss who actually helped push me and saw the different things in me that I didn't even recognize.
I love it. And I think it's interesting because when I ask most great connectors, what's your origin story? It's rooted in childhood and revealed in adulthood almost without exception. I know some who late in life they went, I'm not getting the results I want. What could I do differently? So let's pivot to Dawn the networker now. And um, I'm going to ask you for a better word because one of the things I find is the true connectors networking is almost an understatement. It's kind of like describing a Lamborghini as a car. Yes, I have a car. Well, actually, so what's
Mhm.
your biggest advice to people? And let's talk about terminology as well, but how do you describe what you do?
Yeah. Well, I kind of came up with this revelation during COVID that I started calling myself a unique connector. One thing that I realized is we all are unique and we've all had a different journey. We've all had different paths. We've all had different instances. And I think that was the one thing for me. I realized I'm one that loves to connect with people to learn more about them. I don't, it's not about what you sell. It's not about the certain what's the weather or whatnot like that. It's like, no, having that deep connection to really understand what's been their path, what's been their trigger moments, what's something that makes them uncomfortable. But I think when you get deep like that and you get a personal relationship, then you're realizing what other people they need to connect with or how they would click well with this person. So I go back to that of just, we're all unique. There's different things about us that really make us want to connect with somebody on a deeper level than just what we sell or what we do.
And I find it fascinating because I think a lot of people who think they network, they never get past, here's what I sell.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
And I think that's one of my aha moments. I love teaching people networking, but some people come to me saying, "Oh, wise one, teach me how to sell more today." And I'm not that person. You want to learn how to sell more today, you probably need a closing expertise or something. I'm more, how do I build relationships where I sell more longer term. And I think you and I have that in common, where we're kind of, every touch is just that, it's one element of building a relationship. Is that a fair thought, that Dawn's not, buy my stuff today and
Yeah, I would say, I've been through the sales trainings. I've seen how to, close the sale and all those things, but deep down it's about the relationship because I think of, you know, anybody that purchases something, sometimes it's like you don't think about, oh, I regret purchasing that, or oh, that wasn't the right fit for me. So wouldn't you rather have somebody that built the relationship with them where they know that's the right fit for them, or they know that they have the right person that's going to help them through that process of what they purchased? I think that's the part where sometimes when people hear the word networking, they automatically think of sales. And that's unfortunate because it's two different things. Building relationships, it's getting back to the basics of how we can have a connection and a relationship with someone. And then eventually the sale will come. I think it's to the long game of things where if you think of sales, then that's a transaction, I think. And that's a quick transaction and it's over with. We're all about the relationship and the long game of it, of keeping that person warm or top of mind, or how else you can be a resource besides one thing that they purchase from you.
I love that. And I think that's, it fascinates me because I have that sales background. And yes, I'm well aware. I have a friend who likes to say that timid salespeople have skinny kids. Um, the reality is, in my experience, the best salespeople I know, and when I say salespeople, they're the ones that'll convince you, you're at the beach and they convince you you should buy a bucket of sand. They tend to have very high return rates or deal cancellation or clawback. Like there's a correlation between not enough relationship and too much sales versus, and the other piece is you can have too much relationship and not enough sales.
Mhm.
I'm not the one to tell you what your balance should be. But I know when I meet those hardcore salespeople who, you know, hey, we just met. I'm going to stand here and pound on you until you actually buy something. They never get a second conversation with me, and definitely never get a conversation with my connections. I'm not going to say, "Oh, you should come meet Dawn. I'm sure she'd love for you to show up and throw up on her too." So
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it gives it a bad taste in your mouth and then you're remembered that way. And so, not saying we've all made the perfect decisions through our life, but it's like you got to learn from those different hiccups or how you were even treated in a certain situation. I just think of some people that are always messaging me trying to sell me on something and I'm like, how did I interpret that? Yep, take note of that's not how I want to show up and doesn't align with my deep down values.
I love it. And I think that's part of networking is the best connectors I know are very, very in tune with what their personal values are. And I think they apply that expectation to how they network. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I think that's been part of this whole journey of corporate life and switching to entrepreneurship is just really realizing my values and where it aligns with me. And, just some of the things I feel like in the past are hiccups, I guess, even in my roles, was me because it wasn't aligned with my values. Is deep down the aha moments that I've had now that I've gotten older and wiser, but even stepped out on my own. I think those are some things that even hindered me from my success was deep down my values and what I was selling or what I was doing for a job. So yeah, it's been interesting just to get wiser, I would say, in my age.
And it's fun. I mean, the beautiful thing, I will say this to any beginning networker, is when you hang out with people who network at a level above you, instead of trying to pull them down to your comfort zone. Most of the great networkers I know, and I can say this because I've met a lot who've written books on the subject, most of them have their hand out and they're happy to lift you up and say, hey, here's a tip. And some people, I know, I careful who I offer advice to, because some people take offense to it. But that's the funny thing about the great connectors out there. They'll offer you advice because they want to make your world better, knowing it'll make their world better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's where deep down for me it makes me keep going, I guess, because I just want to help make an impact on other people and know it's going to make a change. And it's kind of that ripple effect, I feel like. When you throw a rock in the water, it makes a little ripple and then another ripple. And it's kind of that spider web of connections, I like to say, where it's ongoing. And you never know that one introduction could get you to the person that you're trying to get to or connect with.
Excellent. Now, tell me, you made the transition. Um, what were you looking at your network to have in place? Because I know you had one foot in both communities and you really thought about it. At what point did you say, "Okay, I'm ready to make that leap"? What did your network offer, have, or what comfort was there that you knew there was a safety net?
Mm, I think deep down, it was actually my own confidence that I was lacking in, that I didn't realize so I left a 10-year chapter behind and worked for one of our clients. And doing that really switched my confidence and realizing the connections that I had and the network I had, because I started hosting some events and realized people are still showing up. And then I think too, another aha moment was too, my role was really switching to all sales because I was good at it. I was natural at it, but I didn't want to deep down do it. I didn't want to deep down be the sales leader for big companies that we were working with. I wanted the deeper connections with not just the CEO circles. And so that was kind of my own confidence boosting thing, to realize different skills that I thought were easy for everybody else, but going into something totally drastically different than what I was doing for 10 years just made me open my eyes to realize the network I had, the skills I had, the strengths I had, and also to just how life is so short. Why not try it? What's the worst that could happen?
And I just want to point out one little thing. A lot of people tell me, "Oh, you're good at networking, you must be bad at sales." And I don't see that correlation. So I want to bring that out, that you had the skill set, you were at that level in the corporate world where you were being asked to be the sales leader, and yet you chose to focus on connecting. I think that's a powerful message for anybody listening, that networkers aren't bad at sales. We just prefer to build relationships,
Hmm.
which lead to sales. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, which leads to sales. And I feel like it's kind of that in between of a lot of things. There's marketing and the sales funnels and the ads and all those things that you could be doing, or certain sales strategies, but deep down in the middle there, it's all about the relationships. And, you know, that goes a longer way. And I feel like so many people are just looking for the sale. And yeah, it's separate, where that's where I feel like I've been in multiple roles, where this is where I'm like, I've always enjoyed the business development, I would say, because it was about building relationships. And then hopefully the salesperson would take it from there, or I would take it from there once you built that strong enough relationship. But it was kind of that marketing funnel to get you that introduction, or just being out there and being visible in your community.
Now, you are a community builder. How do you perceive that as being different from what most people call networking? What's
Mm.
your secret perception?
Yeah. You know, I think one thing is just you realize more that when you kind of build a community, you're attracting those like-minded people. And it's not just about a post or something that you put out there or how you show up. Like it's seriously your presence and how you show up. And I think the one thing that I've learned is being really vulnerable in different communities help build that trust. And it's not just about networking or meeting that next CPA or that next financial advisor. It's like it's going down to that deeper level of being vulnerable with people and to removing that hat of where you work and who you sell for. And so it's just kind of building community around the actual unique humans that we all are
Yeah.
instead of titles.
I love that. And I think that's one of my favorite things. I love connecting with connectors. So if somebody wants to get to know Dawn better, what's the next step? How do they connect with my favorite person, Dawn? And by the way, I am president of Dawn's fan club. So if you're not nice to Dawn, you have to deal with me. I'm
Well,
pretty easygoing, but I can be cranky if somebody's mean to Dawn. So how can people connect with you, Dawn?
yeah. Well, I would say I love connecting on LinkedIn. Don't send me a sales pitch right away. I think that's the thing where try and find things that why you think we should connect. I think that's the part, unfortunately, with some of us connectors, that some people realize we have these skills and resources that they just want to get in our network so then they can find the next person. It's let's build that relationship. So if there's something that's intriguing about me that you want to learn more about, reach out. I love meeting new people. But just know if you send me a sales pitch right away, you're probably going to get deleted.
Yes,
So,
and I would say that to all the people out there who are new to LinkedIn. It's not a dating site. It's not. You'd be amazed on how many young ladies want to build a friendship and maybe get to know me better. And I'm like, you didn't read my profile. I have zero interest in non-business. I build relationships, but
mhm.
business relationships, and I think that's I actually had one person reach out and ask if I could help him find a girlfriend, and I'm like,
Oh,
"That's not what I do."
right?
So, so I think that's something to share, that networking is not all things to all people, and it's not equal to all people. But somebody like Don or I, if you want to connect, you should have a business reason for connecting, and you should understand that relationship first, business second. And like Don, if I get the sell, 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 here's my pitch. Uh, guess what? I'm reporting you LinkedIn as a spammer.
Mm,
I
mhm.
don't just disconnect anymore. I feel that as a good networker, I owe it to LinkedIn to help them improve their metrics. And when they keep sending me people that just want to sell, 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 um, here's a funny thing. I look up their picture using the Google Lens, and if it's a stock picture, I like to report them.
See, an extra trick for me. I know
Yeah.
that's the thing where a lot of people like to reach out and just connect. The more personalized you can get, the better the relationship you're going to make. So,
Love it. Well, Don, I really, really, truly appreciate your time on the show today. And I promise to my guests we will have Dawn back. And I'm going to say to the universe
mm,
that Dawn is going to be writing a book very soon about her networking style. So thank you for being a guest on the show, Dawn.
thank you for having me.